with Elaine at your side.
I have a soft spot for both strategy and RPGs, and because of that, I absolutely adore games like the Fire Emblem series. But what if there was a game that somehow went even more in depth to provide a real-time strategy / RPG experience while telling a story of war, treachery, and most important of all, hope? Unicorn Overlord is the latest offering from Vanillaware, a developer with a solid pedigree in crafting deep worlds and well thought out gameplay, and admittedly, this is my first game I've ever played from them. What's it like? Check your battle maps, select your units, and march forward to victory as we review Unicorn Overlord for the Nintendo Switch. Now before we march into battle, would you mind liking and subscribing? It helps creators like me get found on YouTube, and I can't thank you enough for doing so. Unicorn Overlord weaves an intriguing tale of political turmoil and betrayal when the royal family is turned on by General Valmore, who leads an insurrection to take the throne. Amidst all the turmoil, your character Elaine manages to escape as a child, escorted by Joseph, a loyal royal knight. You then take control of the Queen as she makes her valiant last stand as the kingdom of Grand Corinne falls. In the 10 years that follow, the land becomes known as Galerius, and the evil reach of Valmore spreads throughout the region, stretching far beyond its borders through war and fear. While some may think that this narrative may be rather generic, using trite conventions that seem standard in the RPG genre, I found the way the story was executed was exciting and engrossing, and it dragged me right in from the get-go. This narrative further expands when you finally start your liberation campaign, as you, the prince, are young and naive, so the story lures you in with a very black and white, we are good and they are bad mentality, only to flesh out these misconceptions, because in war, sometimes the hardest choices people make will lead to suffering. One example of this was liberating a town early on from a lord who was deemed a glutton who hoards food. You learn that once he is defeated, he grew up as a peasant and starved due to the famine from a war. While he may have appeared to be starving his people, he was ensuring healthy stockpiles remained when the war tightened its grip on his region. And this character may still be bad, but it was refreshing to show that these villains had more complexities than the standard one-dimensional bad guy trope. It's these mini-stories that drive the overarching narrative forward and invest you in the world of Unicorn Overlord. It made me question my intentions, and while I know Valmore is evil and is meant to be defeated, it did make me question my motives and wonder what my opponent's motives were too while fighting them on the battlefield. Further to this is the burgeoning character development spurred on by increasing relationships either on the battlefield or over a meal in the taverns. The higher the connection, the more likely it will unlock special cutscenes that will further develop the complexities of each character and the relationships that bind them. They are usually short bursts of exposition that don't outstay their welcome and help the player understand what the character is fighting for, or a bit of their background or upbringing. All of this information is added to a codex which you can go back on and read at your leisure. You can give gifts to party members and build those relationships as well. The gameplay focuses on liberating the world of Fevrith, and there are several mechanics at play when it comes to the gameplay. You have the ultimate goal of liberating hostile territory, but to do so, you'll need to recruit soldiers to fight for you. A lot of these characters will be recruited via the story as it unfolds, but some are off the unbeaten path. The developer has said you can recruit every character in a single playthrough. There's an overworld which you can explore, finding items to bolster your army or sell to fill the war chest, as well as hunt down divine shards, allowing you to trade them with a recruitable character for rarer items. You can freely traverse the areas in the overworld you have liberated and can talk to NPCs to further flesh out the story. When you enter an area under enemy control, you'll have to quick battle enemies on the overworld map to be able to explore and uncover the battle stage to deploy your army. Each area acts as a mini chapter, meaning you can knock out the battle or action of the story in under an hour or so. And I personally love these bite-sized campaigns as they give you that civilization feeling of just one more turn. Once you have liberated an area, you can then donate items and materials to rebuild the towns in it, and station guards there to bring you passive items after every battle. Station guards can still be used in battle, so you can use your core party and plant them wherever you want around the map with no consequences. When in battle, the game works like a real-time strategy, selecting units and directing them where to go. You can pause movement to reroute troops, and the battlefield is exciting due to this dynamic. There's a stamina system at play on the battlefield as well, meaning that over-reliance on one unit could be your undoing, tapping them out and leaving them vulnerable while they rest to regain stamina. There's also a time limit which is relaxed enough in most cases, but means you can't use a turtle defense by hiding your troops in a garrison city. The more units you defeat, the more points you unlock in battle, and you can use these points to deploy more units or use an existing unit's special ability, like a heavy swing to destroy fortifications or rain arrows from afar, thus weakening an enemy before tackling them head on. The battle system has a great amount of depth, but slowly eases you into it. Battles are auto-fought and consist of taking turns, consuming the character's movement points called PP. PP can be reduced using passive attacks or defensive abilities as well. But you can set these tactics and conditions, like having a character heal when someone drops below 50% to maximize their offensive abilities. There's a rock, paper, scissors system similar to the Fire Emblem at play here too, although there is a much larger variety of classes and character types that mean you do need to reshuffle party tactics and formations as you go along. Certain classes complement each other in formation, allowing follow-up or chain attacks that don't cost PP, and some can defend squishier classes by valiantly jumping into harm's way with a towering shield. The camaraderie and dynamics work really well, and units that work together develop stronger bonds the more they fight together, unlocking more backstories and relationships. This can lead to some great moments in game. One such moment came early in the game when taking my first major objective. I sent units in the cover of a forest to liberate a town for additional support points, while holding the main assault on a different front. Once I liberated that town and cut off reinforcements, I withdrew my units at that town and redeployed them closer to the main front, allowing me to bolster my attack force. One time I underestimated my opponent who did the same, and they quickly toppled me by sneaking a single unit to capture my unguarded command post. All of this is brought to you in a beautiful 2.5D world similar to what we've seen in the Sublime Octopath Traveler series in the Overworld, and gorgeously rendered and animated characters in battles. Each character has their own style and subtleties, bringing their personal flair to your army on top of their unique battlefield skills. Battles look grand with support units raining down arrows before battle commences, and attacks and abilities are great to watch. It all has this unique flair without drowning out the serious overtones of the story. Unicorn Overlord runs at a consistent frame rate even when there's a lot of action going on, and I didn't encounter any artificing, bugs or glitches through my playthrough. For my vision impaired battlefield generals, there are no accessibility options, but most of the dialogue is voice acted and speech is black text on a stained paper like background. You can slow the text as well as turn off auto advancement as well, although more research may be in order to see if Unicorn Overlord is for you, and thankfully there's a free demo that allows for 5 hours of gameplay, or until you reach a specific spot in the story, which will show you pretty much all of the systems and mechanics at play. This beautiful art style is backed by an emotionally investing orchestral score with dulcet strings and haunting woodwinds that further immerse you into the world. Characters are brought to life with stellar voice acting, and I noticed that for the most part, it avoided falling into the usual tropes of slapstick sidekicks that undermine the setting, and kept characters grounded in the gritty war setting, which was a refreshing change. Voices echo when in stone cathedrals, and characters match the tone of the situation around them, sometimes conveying that hope is lost and standing their ground in the face of inevitable defeat.
She's fast. Not as fast as us. What the? Scarlet, are you hurt?
Only a little shaken, that's all.
There are some heavy themes that are handled well due to the superb writing, and it all just seems to hit the mark. The campaign will take you around 50 to 60 hours to complete, and the game retails for $94 Australian. Now initially this price point made me fall off my chair, as most retail around $70 to $80, but after sinking into the world, I personally am very glad I purchased this. It was hard to write a review because I was so enamored with Unicorn Overlord right from the start. Being a fan of the Fire Emblem series and strategy games, I really had no idea what I was in for. And after picking up my copy from the local game store, I sunk into my couch to give it a go, and subsequently lost 3 days while taking notes for this review. Now, as we move closer to securing victory in this review, it's safe to say that Unicorn Overlord is a simply superb game with an enthralling story, gorgeous art style, stellar voice acting, and satisfying gameplay. Strategy and RPG fans need to look no further if they're looking for their next big game. This is it. Unicorn Overlord shines through with high production values, intricate mechanics, and crafts a world full of political intrigue, making it a hard package to turn away from. So, what's it like? Unicorn Overlord is like Fire Emblem mixed with War Tales. I award it the highest score we've ever awarded a game at What's It Like, which is 98 out of 100.
By your word. I see you don't value your life.
Thanks so much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. The best way you can support me is to like and subscribe and continue watching my content if you enjoy it. But if you do want to go that bit extra, you can buy me a coffee or join our Patreon, which shows you behind the scenes of this channel. Thanks again.